I now invite Ms. Vesna Pusić to present her vision statement and add some remarks to the written statement we have already received. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. I must say you've done a great thing by opening this process to the public, by giving us all a chance to say a few words and to present ourselves. I think it is a bigger step than we are all aware at the moment. I think it has created a lot of interest for the organization, not only within the organization, but also outside of the organization. So thank you for that. I come from Croatia, a country in southeastern part of Europe. A very beautiful place, but a place and a country that in the last 25 years, meaning in my adult lifetime, has gone from a country at war to a country with a stable peace, from a country in international isolation to a country that has, through a 12 years relatively complex multilateral negotiations, become a full member of the European Union, from a country that was the recipient of development aid and development assistance to a country that became the provider of development assistance. I'm saying that to emphasize the fact that we have gone through the type of experience that I think has made us humble and freed us from any danger of arrogance in approaching and looking at other countries and places that might have problems of war, problems of conflict, problems of development, problems of post-conflict rebuilding. We understand that nobody thinks that this is going to happen to him or to her until it happens. And that therefore this is also and should be viewed as something that potentially and so easily could happen to any country, and therefore it is a problem that we all need to address together, that we all have some experience in, and where nobody is in the long run in a better position than others, because it is amazing how easily a peaceful and supposedly stable country can become the theater of war. It also teaches us, because during that period Croatia has been a country where one of the biggest and maybe most controversial peacekeeping operation took place, UN peacekeeping operation UNPROFOR, took place. Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina at that time. We understood that it's not perfect. There are many problems that you encounter, including the problem of the mandate, including the problem of keeping peace in the midst of a horrible war. But you also understand that it's indispensable, that however imperfect it might be, it makes a great difference that it actually exists, and that what we should do together is try to improve these mechanisms that we have, but certainly not dismantle them, certainly not compromise them, make them stronger and more effective in the future. We need to keep what we've got and build on it. Nobody, I think, has applied for this job or thought of standing for the Secretary General of the United Nations because she wants to, or he wants to, make it his or her sort of driving passion, the management of the organization. However, in order to address the original objectives and goals of the United Nations, management of the organization is the key prerequisite. If the organization is not functioning, peace, development, humanitarian assistance, human rights, all the great educational and development projects that we care for and we want to work on are going to be just a dream, because the organization will not be working. So I will start with a few things that I think are important in the management of the organization. From my experience, and I've done many things in my life, the sort of Occam's razor rule always worked. And this is that the simpler structures and the simpler solutions were more likely to work. So one thing that, if elected, I would definitely try to do is make the decision-making processes and the reporting processes simpler, through that also more transparent, and through that also more accountable. The most important job of the Secretary General is to make the organization work. And in preparing for this interview, I have read many different reports, analysis, proposals, and papers that were written, most of them first class, most of them really very good, and a lot of what's written in them needs to be applied. But if reform was easy, it probably would have already happened. So if elected Secretary General, my first order of business would be to try to make the organization work, to try to run the organization as it is and as we find it now, rather than try to run an organization as we wish it would be one day. It has to start functioning right away, and we have to make do in the first instance with what we've got, and then gradually make it simpler, resolve problems, make it more effective as we go along. I think the next Secretary General needs to be very much a hands-on manager, very much present in what the organization is doing. For me, it always worked to have staff meetings where the organizational aspect is on the agenda. So this would definitely be something that I would do. Appoint and hire people that know more than you in specific areas. It always helps. And use partnerships, use the Ipsos system that has already been introduced, and make it work better. Peace and security, the central mission of the United Nations. This area, as the Secretary General, works under the direction of the Security Council. The main emphasis that I see as also the main sort of comparative advantage of the United Nations is the negotiators. Special political missions, first-class negotiators, people like Lakhdar Brahimi or Staffan de Mistura, people who sometimes managed with good support to do more than troops on the ground. If you have troops on the ground, very strong command structure. If you have troops on the ground, accountability. If you have troops on the ground, not from the countries where the military has committed atrocities in the last 5 years against their own people. Development, something that that works itself in almost is inseparable from the building of sustainable peace. Development as the second stage, as a tool, as an instrument in building sustainable peace. The Sustainable Development Goals have, I think, give us a fantastic foundation to do that. Broadening the base of countries that provide development assistance, bringing in small donors, countries that are not necessarily rich and big, but can contribute, would develop a lateral, a horizontal partnership and cooperation in development that might change the face of development cooperation and assistance. And finally, two more sentences. Human rights, something that I've been involved in all my life, and I will just say that I see human rights as the canary in the mine. It is what alerts us to dangers, and trampling on human rights alerts us on dangers in any country.
Thank you. We